Hi.
Hi.
Good. And yourself? This comes out of some work from the safety committee, looking at what we had for AEDs, where they were located, the age of them.
What AEDs are, just in case somebody's listening that doesn't have a clue?
Automatic external defibrillators. So someone's having a specific type of rhythm, heart attack, these can save them. They're pretty common in workplaces now, public buildings. So we started looking at what we have for current stock, which isn't enough, and how old they are, because most of the ones we have in city buildings and in the emergency vehicles are older. So, matter of fact, the one that's here is a hand-me-down from when it was, they didn't want to have it in the cruiser anymore, but it was still serviceable. So we put it on the wall here. So the thought was from the safety committee, could we start picking them off one or two at a time from a safety budget? But the reality is that with as many as we need, by the time we ever get close to the end, the first ones would be so old that they would be out of service. So we decided to approach the council to see if we could do this from a capital investment approach, because there's 16 of them in total that are needed. Not all of them need the boxes. If you're familiar with the box on the wall as you come out of the stairwell out here, those are permanently located ones. There's only 6 more of those that need the boxes that need to happen for facilities. 9 of them are going to be in frontline police cars or emergency response trucks. So engines and rescues and the pickup that responds with the boat, things like that. So that 9 of them will be in those types of vehicles out in the road, and the other 7 will be here in buildings, both in City Hall, the library, which in both those buildings we're requesting to go with 2. One up and one down, because they have public meeting spaces, and there are sections of the building that are locked at times. So we wouldn't want to have it behind locked doors when it was needed in a public meeting space, or vice versa. So we've asked to go with 2 in those buildings. Then we have 1 for airport, public works, pollution control, 2 in the library, City Hall. So those are the locations of them. The staff has been trained in the past, and we will, if this purchase approves, we will renew their certifications for the CPR AED certifications that our fire department actually can teach. So we would train all staff that choose to be trained. So
that would be my only question about having to deal with this at the university. Whenever we put it into a building, the staff had to be trained, and it was on a yearly basis.
Yep.
Because of liability-wise, if we put that in a building and the staff's not trained, we're opening ourselves up to a lawsuit. So you're saying the staff, so we will start doing it on a yearly basis for all staff?
I believe it's a 2-year certification that we did, but yes, we would offer it to all staff and make sure we had at least staff in every building that are trained to use it. I don't know as we'd go so far as to force every staff member to.
Like the part-timers or something like that, probably
Right.
just all full-time people,
Correct.
something like that.
I don't know if there's a lot of sense in training somebody that's not going to dare to use it anyway.
Right, yeah.
If you're not going to step to the plate and say, I want to be trained to use this, probably you're not going to use it if
Yeah,
I train you.
it's a conversation that usually happens in private with somebody if they're concerned, and like you said, there's no sense to put them in that position if they know they're not going to be able to function, so I agree.
The other question I have is, why wasn't this a budget item?
Didn't it just come up through the shape
Well,
discussions?
it came up, it's a product of all the conversations about the safety program, how we can better do things, so it's a mid-year conversation. That's the only answer I really have, is that this is just formulated over the last couple of months. How can we solve this? So that's why we're coming to you and asking, is this a way that we can do this? So I'm not that we didn't have AEDs before the budget was settled, but the conversation of increasing the numbers we have and better prepare ourselves as far as that goes wasn't a conversation before the budget this year.
Is there a conversation that can be for next year's budget, or is it a thing that's important right now?
I think it's important to have them in our buildings and our people trained sooner than later. I'm not saying it can't be a budget, but I think it's something that if, I don't know, it's a hard question to answer, because if we lose someone tomorrow, we're wrong.
I
Can't
can
put a
speak to
price
that.
tag on
I
safety.
can speak to that. I've been in the position where I've needed one, had one that was not serviceable, that we thought was serviceable, didn't do its job, and we had a real much bigger problem on our hands than what we're talking about here. I've actually been in that particular predicament. So
Can't put a price tag on
Yeah.
safety. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So you're going to pay for it how?
It'd come out of tech reserve. Got about $270,000 in there. And again, if you have additional questions, this is being requested. Certainly, we can discuss it more, move it forward, not move it forward, whatever you want to do.
What's the will of the committee?
I'd make a motion to move it forward.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Reserve account consolidation.
Hello.
Good evening.
So we sent along an explanation of the reserve accounts that we want to consolidate. This simply is stemming from, as you know, we're going through year end. This is my second year in process, working with the auditors. And we've just identified all these little tiny reserve accounts that are sitting on the books that we haven't done anything with. So instead of them just kind of sitting there, I wanted to move them into either the department that is doing the work that created the reserve account years ago, or move them to a carry forward so the departments have them for future use. And then it just keeps it so it's not two items. We have a carry forward and a reserve. Now it's either just all carry forward or reserve. And then the big one we had talked about previously was setting up the municipal trash reserve from the money that we received back from the perk option.
Okay, I don't know if it's an issue, but the carry forwards, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
But if we look, there's one there on the pool. People fundraise that money to keep the pool open.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure if they knew it was there, because organizations change hands, they'd be more than happy. I mean, they're out fundraising right now to do things at the pool.
Mm-hmm.
I think that should be turned to them, not facilities and maintenance, because if people that have done that fundraising say, what the heck, the city just claimed it and there it is gone, and there's some of these accounts like the Madeline Lane Coombs Park Fund, we should try to get in touch with somebody from the family or something and say, hey, can we do something different with this money?
That
Or
one-
spend it on the park and get rid of it.
Yep, and that's what we had done, because Madeline actually contacted me last year. She gave us a donation of $500.
Yeah.
And she said it's for the flowers and the annual upkeep of the park.
Yeah.
So we put that into, and then I saw this one sitting on the book, so I thought, well, for the years past where we've done the upkeep, we can move that into the Parks Department, which is where the expense is going.
And she's okay with that?
Yes, she was last year when I spoke to her.
How about the Gail Seymour Fire Fund?
That one has been there since 1994, and I spoke to the deputy chief at the fire department, and he wasn't sure what that was from. He had no recollection. So that was one, again, that's been long forgotten about. He didn't even know who Gail Seymour was.
The reason I ask is because we had a fund at the Y that we were gonna do that to. And there was a family member that said, whoa, what are you doing? My parents set this up for da-da-da-da-da.
Right.
And we had to backtrack, so I think as long as you make the efforts on, most of them are all A-okay to do that, but, EMS, the ambulance department, I don't think it makes a bit of difference, make it go on, but we are,
Yeah,
we
those-
have a name on them, we need to make sure that we got right.
Yeah, and the last three, the EMS, the fire, and the EMS regionalization, at least those are public relation funds. Again, not sure why they were established, back if the city wasn't doing it before and they started, but it's something that we've committed to. So the city is funding that, so that we're out doing, the fire education and the EMS education in the areas.
Does DARE still exist?
DARE, the program itself doesn't, but I know we're using the account for DARE-like items. Correct.
Well, that's all asset forfeitures, so that money is all from search warrants that go into that account. It was just labeled as DARE, not prior to that, but what we've been doing is dumping, so anytime that we do a drug raid and the court gives us that money has to be used for law enforcement only, so it goes into that account.
So we're not spending anything out of that account? Should we
No, we're
change that
spending,
account?
we're spending out of it.
Or you're spending out of it?
Yeah.
But it sounds like it shouldn't really be labeled
It
there.
shouldn't be labeled there,
Right.
correct?
Correct.
On a dare
Yeah,
vote.
no, and it is all the expenditures that are coming out of are specifically for the police.
Yeah.
So I would think then before we present that one to the entire council, we should fix that to a different name of, what do you spend the money for?
Varies equipment. We purchase equipment out of that. We'll do, we will do motivation stuff for them, so like we've bought fleece vests for them with the police department logo on it, polo shirts with the police department logo on it. That's what we've purchased out of that.
So it'd be the same account number, different, just a different
Just a
name?
different title, yeah,
So still the same account, not,
yeah.
item. So to Stan's question about the pool, I see what he's saying, but where it's going into facility, city facilities and infrastructure, it can still be used for the pool, right?
Yeah, I guess the only thing to clarify on that was previous to that, and I want to be very careful when we talk about the swimming pool. Previous to 2010, it was in very simple terms, it was separated from the city. So the whole Save the Pool fundraising came on board at that time. I know that there were counselors in 2010. Bill Lovejoy was one of them that was very adamant about he wanted the pool to be in the city facilities reserve account, so that, you know, we've got 11, 12 facilities, this building, library, Public Works, and the pool. He wanted them all in the same reserve account, so they were all basically in competition for whatever dollar amount the council would put in there. So if the council said there was $200,000 going into facilities reserves this coming year, then all those buildings were eligible for that funding. The pool wasn't kind of set off to the side.
Okay,
So-
the difference is Mr. Leonard headed up a fundraising committee to raise this money separate from the city putting money into the coffer. Perhaps he'd be the one that we check with and say, hey, Mr. Leonard, do you care if we take that $38,800 $33.71 and just put it with the rest of the facilities? Because we're spending that, which you are, or we are,
Yep.
on the pool anyway.
Yep,
But, you know, where it's fundraised by the community,
yep.
we should perhaps ask somebody instead of upsetting somebody.
Yep.
Anybody else?
No, I agree. And you said you checked with all the other ones, Madeline, Gail? Oh, we didn't know what the Gail one was, you said.
Right, we don't know who Gail is.
I don't think anybody's gonna quibble over girls' talk.
No girls'
$15.
talk. It was a long time ago.
So this is, let me just look real quick, Stan, before. I think this is on, isn't this on the agenda for tonight? Am I looking at this or no? I don't know, maybe it's not. I just want to make sure, I'd rather,
I think so.
municipal, Cotard Trust, Finance.
The only thing on the
Well, the
agenda
municipal
tonight's for the
trash.
perk, because
Just
that
the
came up
trash,
the
okay.
last finance
Just
committee.
bring
Okay,
that
so
money
so you can
forward.
check with
Yes, I can,
the Leonard and the other one, just to make, before you bring it back to the full council.
yes.
Okay.
Need to do it correct. Correctly, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot better to be polite than it is to stutter afterwards.
Mhm.
We have a motion to carry this to the full council with changes?
So moved.
I'll
Second.
second.
Can I make the motion to move that forward with the changes? So moved.
Yes, yeah.
Further
so moved.
discussion? All in favor? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Question, man.
Thank you, sir. Okay. I call the November 19, 2018 special council meeting to order. Flag salute. John, if you could do this last one, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call.
Silent roll call has been taken. Quorum is present.
Thank you. Approve the minutes. There are none. Petitions, communication, citizen requests. There is no one here. Reports, council president. I have nothing. Standing committee, city councilors.
Yeah, I'd like to put in a good word for the realtor day that we had today. It was supposed to be last Friday. We had 33 realtors sign up last Friday, but we had to postpone it because two of the presentations were at the schools, one at the elementary school, one at the high school, and they didn't have school. So we had it today, and we had less than half that number show up. However, Karina Lassen did an incredible job with the whole thing. It was very well organized. The schools did a tremendous job giving tours by students around instead of having some teacher or some principal talk. We had a nice presentation at the library. Ron and Lance did a good job presenting economic development and the airport. I learned things about this town that I've been here for 45 years and didn't know. Bernie Lucas also did a nice job doing a presentation at the library.
Very nice.
We should thank Karina for organizing all that and making
Yeah,
it
that's
happen.
great.
I'm sure more people would have showed up to Monday. They probably had other plans already, but that's good. Very nice. Any other councilors? City attorney, special committee, city manager.
Just a quick update on Customs Border Patrol. They've sent back their draft. I reviewed it, Lance has reviewed it, Danielle's looked at it, and the Boys Kings looked at it. Everything that we had requested on it appears to be there. I'm sending that back to them as a draft saying, you know, we're okay to this point. We need to talk with their project manager to kind of drill down on exactly what do they want to see in that construction. We've talked back and forth with a lady who's come up a couple different times and looked at it. We haven't actually talked with the project manager who's going to be in charge of this is what they want actually constructed. We have a pretty good idea. Shane McDougall from Du Bois King has worked on a couple different federal projects with them in the past, so we feel pretty confident in what they're going to look for, but we want to also make sure that's exactly it. And I can send you all a copy of that lease so you can take a look at it and see it. Obviously, we're not going to approve it until you finalize it anyway, but we're getting closer all the time with that, so it's going well.
Very good. Any questions for Bill? Okay, moving on, consent agenda. There is none. Public hearings, old business, new business. We have 4 items. City Council consider authorizing the Finance Director to create a new reserve account, municipal trash, for monies that were acquired from the MRC when the city chose to remain with PERC instead of going to Fiberite. Councilor Peterson, please.
Resolved, the city council hereby authorizes the finance director to create a reserve account, municipal trash, and to transfer $792,912.47 into this reserve for the monies received from Merck.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Donna, discussion? We good?
Good.
I think, okay. All right, all those in favor? None opposed, 6-0. City Council consider authorizing the Finance Director to open an account with Katahdin Trust. Councilor May.
Resolved, the Old Town City Council hereby approves opening an ICS checking account with Katahdin Trust in the amount of $275,000.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Shirley, okay. Discussion?
Just to reinforce, the reason that we didn't do this with a local bank is because they don't offer it and Katahdin Trust does.
We actually have the reason that we're moving it is one of our investment accounts, we have excess cash just sitting there, and it's earning like 1.25%. Speaking with Katahdin Trust, if we move over this amount, we can get 2% on it. So again, it's just to give us more of an earning on the money that we have just sitting there. And then it precedes into the second item on the agenda as well. It gives us better rates on that.
Right, so it's
for the
basically they
credit
give
card.
us a better rate, basically.
And the banks that are in town.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor? None opposed? City Council consider authorizing the Finance Director to apply for a credit card with Katahdin Trust. Councilor Nuttall, please.
Resolve, the Old Town City Council hereby authorizes the finance director to apply for a credit card with Katahdin Trust.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Carol, discussion. Thank you for doing this. I know I've been asking for this
Yes.
before you got here.
And this credit card, arrangement with Katahdin Trust, it keeps the personal guarantee off of Bill and I. Any other banks in the area and credit cards that we have to do, we actually have to put our financial, credit on the line. And that's just something I'm not comfortable doing. So working with Katahdin, we don't have that personal guarantee. It's all opened under the city, everything responsible with it as well.
And this is,
That doesn't mean we're not going to watch the credit
Right,
card.
exactly,
I'm
yeah.
not personally liable for it,
Right.
which makes me much more comfortable.
Yeah.
I think this is nice because that way employees don't have to pay for out of their own pocket for something which they've had to in the past. Everybody's had to go through that and then wait to get reimbursed. So thank you for doing this.
And the other thing too is if we have problems with a credit card, we can pick up the phone and there's someone in the state of Maine we can talk to. They're not going to outsource it to a different, company down in Delaware. So there's someone right here in Maine that can help us with our problems should we have any.
That's great. Thank you. All those in favor? None opposed, 6-0. Okay, the last item, the city council consider going into executive session for the purpose of discussing the city manager's annual performance evaluation. Council Brissette, please.
Resolved, the Old Town City Council hereby approves going into executive session pursuant to Title I, MRSA 405, Section 6A, for the purpose of discussing the city manager's annual performance evaluation.
Okay, is there a second?
A second.
Okay, Donna, discussion? All those in favor? None opposed? And it is 6:53.